and I see this mistake all the time, Lisa, it's awful, is you don't write about how awesome your course is from you, the teacher. You should take this course because it's great and this great, and you'll do this and you'll learn this and this. You're always thinking about, how do I speak to that person, Susie or Betty or Sam or Jennifer, and I'm speaking directly to their their experience of what do they aspire to, what are the challenges or problems they're dealing with in their life, and what is the solution or the natural outcomes that they want from whatever you're teaching.
Welcome to another episode of Social PR Secrets. My name is Lisa Beyer, and I will be your host. Today's guest, I want to welcome Chris Kyle. Chris is going to answer this. Are online courses the next big thing? Should every business have an online course? Let's find out the answers and all of the tips and trends and secrets on if you're trying to create an online course, what you need to know now. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to another episode of Social PR Secrets. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a little pregame with Chris Kyle as my guest. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, good. Doing well, Lisa. Good to be here with you.
Good. So I'm hosting a webinar for Chris on Wednesday that is going to be talking about, Chris is the founder of the Launch Academy, and we're going to be talking about e-learning and what online courses can do for your business. And I thought, for this episode of Social PR Secrets, we can talk about online courses from a public relations standpoint. What is the big deal with online courses? Like, it seems like everyone's doing online courses. Is there still room to do this? And, let's just kind of get into the deep dive of that. But first, Chris, can you tell us like how you got to the place you are being an online course coach, creator, consultant?
Yeah, thanks. The origin story. I like to call it, everybody's familiar with the Marvel origin story. So it's a little my origin story. Yeah, for many years, I was a coaching consultant working with startups and pre-funded startups here in the Bay Area where I live, San Francisco Bay Area. And one of my clients was in the e-learning space and they asked me to join them full time, which I was a little like, do I really want to do that? And they were a super fast growing company. This is in 2009 and 10. I joined them. I kind of got my PhD, in online learning and how to launch great courses. And then over the last 11 years, basically, after I left being with that company, I created my own company to basically sort of democratize the whole process of creating online courses so that anybody could learn a process or a model for launching their amazing, transformative, lucrative online course. And so that's what I've been focused on over the last 10 plus years and created even my flagship training program called Launch Academy to help people do that.
So I love Launch Academy and I love the whole concept. And I actually taught an online course for University of Florida a few years back. And when they were just bringing their whole curriculum in the College of Journalism online and offering, complete online e-learning to get your degree at UF. And, that was pretty cutting edge at the time. And now it's pretty common, especially with the pandemic. But it seems like over the past, few years, like online courses have really become in all these different vertical categories. So even for corporations and companies of all sizes have their internal online courses of processes and flows. And then there's like the HubSpots of the world that offer online certifications. And there's just so many ways to slice and dice and use online learning and e-learning. Tell us what is kind of the state of it now, and what are the opportunities that you see?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exploded. You nailed it. Even before this global pandemic, it's been really accelerating at all levels. So like even K through 12, college, universities, corporations, personal development, adult learning, growth, personal growth work through online programs, it's exploded. And I think what's happened, what I've seen really change things, because I've been in this, it's like dog years, Lisa, really. This, technology in general is like dog years. Anybody would tell you that here in Silicon Valley. But in 2009, we were still doing teleseminars, Lisa. We were still calling up and just listening, boring. So for years, just to say this, for years, most of the people out there had bad experiences with online learning, right? So it was just listening to videos, no interaction, being on a teleseminar. So people, I think for many years were like, I don't want to do that. What's changed is that the tools and the technology and the ways of crafting courses have made it for much more interesting experiences, right? One thing you've heard about a lot of people have is gamification of online courses. So to make them more engaging and interesting and gamify them, but also just the way we use the tools now, Zoom, the way we have now breakouts in Zoom, the way you can create assignments that people then go and do and then share out on a discussion forum. So people are much more focused, Lisa, now on how do I create a great experience? And that was my learning from my mentors way back when is, can we can create a transformative learning experience in an online setting? That was the goal 10 plus years ago. And it's really coming true that you can replicate the classroom. I mean, you can really replicate what sitting knees to knees with people, just that physical presence is the one missing piece, but all the way you approach teaching, small groups, big group, it's all there. And so what's happening now in the space, especially with the pandemic, is people, millions and millions of people have had their first taste of an online course. If they're not in K through 12 or not in, high school learning or even college, but just adults out there, they're having their first taste and they're having good experiences. So we're starting to see millions of more people say, oh, I could do another course. Oh, I could do another course, because they're going to do it this way, or this way. And one of the things that we'll talk about a little more is just kind of one of my secrets from this is I do think we're seeing a backlash against the pre-recorded boxed product course. So this is the Coursera, Udemy, those kind of platforms where you're seeing a lot more work on how do we interact. How do the students interact with each other? Is there a way to interact with this teacher? And that's like coming back full force because people are a little burnt out on just go watch these 5 videos and do this workbook and go. So that's kind of what's been really changing. I can go into more on that too.
Yeah. And I can see both sides of it. I mean, some people just, don't want to worry about the live, showing up for the lives. And some people really thrive on the lives, and I see there's a lot of people just want to learn from, they don't have to be like, have their MD to learn about something. They just have to learn from somebody that has gone through an experience, and that's one of the things that I see happening is that, there's the thing called imposter syndrome and like, am I good enough to teach a course? Like whatever the course is, like, right?
That's right.
And, I know I felt like that when I was teaching at UF, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for example, teachers that are teaching for our public school system, maybe they can teach their own course as, to get like some, side hustle type income because they do this for a living, teaching courses. Or I have a couple of friends actually who are attorneys who hate it. They hate being attorneys, but they have 20, 30 years of experience. And I said to them, why don't you just start creating these courses? Like why you shouldn't be an attorney, 10 reasons, something fun like that. Or it could be, whatever they're, one of my friends is a real estate attorney. And I said, just do a course on being a real estate attorney, everything you've learned from the judges, all the secrets that the judges have told you or whatever.
Yes.
And I feel like it's like a next generation of a profession. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's talking about the side hustle in general, just so your audience gets this, is that people that are creating courses are speakers, authors, coaches, consultants, attorneys, doctors, right? We know all kinds of doctors like Dr. Oz, those kind of people. They're a doctor, but they love to write. They love to teach. They have some particular niche that they love about medicine or practice. They're alternative medicine practitioners. Everybody that has some passion and expertise, Lisa, that feels a call to wanting to bring that to more people are ripe for creating a course. And this is why I think it's so rich right now is there are so many people that will find a niche. There's so many people out there that will fit your niche, Lisa. You already are growing an audience, teaching people about PR secrets, and you don't have to be a big PR firm or to do it. You can just do it on your own. So I think the key thing, Lisa, here is that there is no content area that's out of bounds. And there is no person that could tell me is like, oh, I'm doing this, so I probably won't be able to teach a course. The key thing is about passion and some level of expertise. You can't just teach something you just took one class a week ago on. My belief is you still have to have a level of depth and knowledge and experience to convey that forward to somebody. So I do try to dissuade people to say, hey, I just learned about LinkedIn. I just put my profile up last week. I think I'm going to teach a LinkedIn course. How do you create a great profile? some people actually say that, Lisa. And I think you might want to spend more time really learning it, getting some results, getting some success, because I can almost tell you that somebody coming out of law school, Lisa, in their first year being a lawyer, do you think you would take a course from them? Do you think you'd take a course from them? No.
Right. And it's kind of the same
Yeah.
sense, and not to put any of these coaches down that are in their 20s. Great that you're a coach
Yeah.
in your 20s, professional coach. But I do feel like you have to have certain, whether level of experience going through all these different business experiences to really be coach.
Yes.
Like even an athletic coach,
Yeah.
like you can't be a basketball coach if you just learned, right? If you just,
It's-
so it's
That's
just,
it. But when you have the experience, you said it right, is then a lot of people still go into, I don't have enough experience. I've been doing this 10 years. I really should be doing this 20 years before I teach a course. I would actually say there is some level where somebody is now psyching themselves out. You do have enough experience.
totally.
You've been doing it well.
Yeah.
And so the audience listening here is just think about what is something that really moves you, you're passionate about, whether it's your day-to-day job or a side thing. But do you have something to share? Do you have some new take on this or some expertise in some area or a population that you work with? You were talking about the attorneys or working with massage therapists or chiropractors or whatever. If you have some experience of working with those folks, you could probably create a really great course on some topic that's meaningful for that audience or that population. And that's what I see a lot in my students that come through. And many of them are experts in some field where they're in the trenches. They're a massage therapist, they're a yoga teacher, they teach. I have accountants that are teaching people, how to be less stressed as accountants, things like that. So it's like whatever you're good at, you can probably find some angle that people would be interested in that might be unique too. Like this one person that's an accountant is helping using mindfulness practices to help professionals to de-stress themselves in very stressful situations, whether you're an accountant or attorney or CPA. So that's a great example of, I don't have to teach about accounting. I could teach something that accountants might really appreciate or figure out that's important for their business or their life. Example there.
Yeah. I love that. And also it's a way to take whatever your experience is from going from one-to-one, if you're a consultant, to one-to-many. And I'll just use myself as the guinea pig example. I wrote a book because I was an early adopter of blending PR and SEO and social media. And the reason I wrote the book is because I was saying the same thing over and over. And it was a lot of education to my clients and to my team, and people that I would just speak at conferences and they would ask me the same question. So I said, okay, I'm going to write a book about this because I'll just hand them the book. And now the book has turned into a podcast, which is now turned into my course that I just launched, Modern PR Secrets. And the way we met is through our mutual friend Bruce Clay and his course. And I feel like going one-to-many with your experience and your point of view can be so valuable to people. You just see it in their eyes and you see them get excited about it. And it's kind of like, that makes you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this whole thing of that, if I have something to share, we have such great tools through through our current modern technology to get that out so much easier than even a handful of years ago. This idea of if I want to teach a course or create a group program, there's lots of variations. It doesn't even have to be a static module 1, 2, 3, 4. People are actually creating membership programs and group coaching programs where it's very light on the teaching. So we're just seeing that, and that's all one-to-many, to your point, Lisa. These are all one-to-many options. So there's a lot of creativity that's happening in the online learning or the e-learning space, but it's not, and it's also moving beyond the old ways of thinking about it to get more creative. And that's some of the things that we're seeing shift now, is the creativity of delivering these experiences that people are finding really valuable. And especially now where it's not only the pandemic, but Lisa, you can have an audience, your students, your folks that are in your course can be all over the world. And so my students that come out of Launch Academy are blown away when they have students from France and from the UK and Australia and New Zealand in their very first course. They're like, this is amazing. Before, it was my workshop was down the street and I only got people from San Francisco or LA or New York, but now I have people coming into my course from everywhere. And that's a game changer for people around building a global audience and a global following for what they're doing.
That really is. And, what's awesome about having a course is basically it's your course. You own it. You have your creative license to design it and do, put your touch on it. Mm-hmm. And then combining it with a structure that, we're going to have this webinar in a couple of days where I'm going to host a webinar and you're going to like really get into teaching us like the components of a successful course and what that actually looks like. But what I love is that like what I'm doing with my course, and I'm really starting to have fun with it. My first couple modules, I was like, okay, kind of getting into the mode of it. And now this last module I just recorded, I'm using GIFs to kind of like tell the story. And so I started theming out my modules. So like I have a whole section that I'm just using all GIFs from Schitt's Creek. And then another one, it's like all GIFs from The Office, and it matches like my messaging, but it's like making me kind of crack up as I'm doing it. So I'm hoping that I get the same result. But I mean, it's just an example of like, you can really do what you want, and it's your experience that you're creating for your audience, and you get to kind of tweak it as you go. What are some creative secrets that you can give us for online?
Yeah, that's great. First of all, you brought up a great point, is you can have fun with this. So some of the students that I work with that come into this are already coming in with a heavy heart and a heavy, like, oh my God, this is gonna be such slog. This is gonna be so hard and I don't know what to do. But you bring up a great point, is that you can bring a level of creativity and play to the creation of your course. And so some great examples are where you can get creative even with the filming. So if you're going to record your sessions, module 1's video, module 2 video, however you want to do that, one of the things that you can do is actually do it outside or do it in a different venue, somewhere where it inspires you. Maybe somebody is teaching things like mindfulness or meditation practice. They do it in their little Zendo or outside or in nature. So you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be at a desk talking to a camera. You can get creative with it. Another great creative piece thinking about this is that you can actually have examples or students or people that you've worked with on the videos with you. If you have to demo something or do something that's hands-on or something experiential, that can be really powerful too. So there's no shortage of ways of being creative. I know that some of the students, when they're on the live calls, like live Zoom calls for their course, will also use Zoom breakout groups. I don't know if people listening have ever used that. I use it all the time. So you can get really creative. What if I put people in threes and they share out some response to a question, that a prompt that I've given them. And then we come back to the big group. And then maybe I model or do a demonstration on the video that people can see. So a lot of creativity of sharing screen, using breakout groups, using different things on your video, being creative in the live calls, being creative in the shooting of videos. The other thing that people tend to forget is that you can be very creative with the assignments or the homework or whatever that you're asking people to do. It's an important part that I'll teach in my webinar, that you can actually have, that you want to make sure that every module, everything that you teach has some embedded learning. We embed the learning in practice or homework or assignments. A lot of room to be creative of what you're asking people to do, to journal this, fill out this form, do free form morning writing pages, do guided visualization, listen to this every day, or take a walk in the woods, whatever it is. You can get very creative with what you're asking them to do. And people just forget about all these things. Generally, people think, I just got to record my video. I've got to post that up in some tech platform and then I'm good. It's like, there's so much more that you can do that engages your students and has it a more transformational experience for them.
I have to share that this is a great example. So this book, Tara, I'm taking this online course from Whitney Freya, and it's called 22 Days of Painting and Meditation. Mm-hmm. And the way that first of all, it's like, very casual, she's, painting, but she gives assignments that are kind of like in line with each one of these chapters, mm-hmm. 22 Buddhas of Tara. And I'm sure she had to get permission to use the book to teach the course, but she does such an amazing job at, every day it's just they're quick 15 to 20 minute lessons and techniques. And you can actually kind of see over there my Tara that I'm painting. Oh, yeah, my daughter's beautiful. Doing one too.
Yeah.
But she, what I love about it is that it's a 22-day course, and it was maybe $100 to take it. But she also teaches all these other courses that are like bigger. And it's almost like a taste of her, kind of transitioning into like maybe a bigger type of course with her. So I've seen this done where it's maybe a 10-day challenge where everybody meets on Facebook and it's free, and then they end up like just getting a taste of it. What do you think of some of those types of ways to kind of get noticed to get your course launched, or even doing a
Yeah.
free?
Yeah. I'll give a quick structure for everybody so everybody can visualize this. So the kind of the way the online world is working is that there are a lot of free things that you can do. Some examples you've named. So you're putting out some great free content. You're engaging an audience for free. It's the freemium model that we all know from our app world, right? Same thing. That are summits, online summits, challenges, webinars, short mini courses that are free or very low cost. So these are all examples of the first structure is that you create something where you can invite an audience in that gets a feel for you, where there's at least no cost barrier. There's a time barrier, always a time barrier. Then all of those programs are usually the opportunity for the teacher, the lead of that, to make an offering into a next step. So I want people to know, not a lot of people know this, right? They just see courses out there that they buy and they're like, oh, I got to create a course. And then I have to sell my course. So I want to be really clear. And hopefully you guys, whoever's listening here will join my webinar too, is that you want to create some free experience always in conjunction with your course. So I teach the simple one that you're going to experience. You've created yourself, Lisa, is a webinar, a free 60-minute webinar where I teach some good stuff. I get great value. And then I talk about the next step. If you want to take a next step, you can go into a program with me. So this is where another part of the creativity is. All of those are awesome possibilities of a 10-day challenge, a 5-day challenge, a 4-week mini course, or 22-day course. And you can play with the idea of free or very low cost. A lot of people do that. And then you want to be looking at what is my intro longer course, my 7-week program, my 8-week program. And then lots of teachers are doing what's my 6-month experience. And then many of the folks that I see are now saying, what's my year-long program? Or what I love seeing is, here is my certification program in this process. And even for you, Lisa, you could have you're certified in your sort of PR way so that, you could certify people to be excellent PR coaches or PR, folks, consultants. I'm not saying you do that, but you could create a year-long certification to train people rather than going to some kind of academic program or marketing program for 4 years or 2 years. So
Right.
That's a great example of people listening is you already have a course, but you could also have some kind of certification process that takes people much deeper into the whole PR, way of working. And the shift is not having them do it on themselves, but training consultants or marketing consultants to use it with their clients. So they're certified in a certain way and approach. Lots of people do this with body work and health things, or a certified relationship coach, or, calling in the one coach. So you'll hear a lot about these as like certifying people in specific niches. And so that's kind of the ultimate expression. That could be a $5,000 course, a year-long course, or your 7-week course is $197 or $297, and then everything in between. So the model I teach, if people are starting it for new, the easiest and most powerful way to do it is you create a great webinar that's free, or great training, online training. You can call it whatever you want, online training, masterclass, webinar, that then leads into your paid course, whatever that is. And typically that's a 6 or 7 week or 6 or 7 module program that you have after the webinar. And that's the structure that works, and it's powerful, and it's counterintuitive to people because sometimes it's like, I just got to sell my course. No, you want to get as many people into your webinar as possible. And that's how you will then offer and market your course.
And I can tell you from my experience, so I started working on my course in January. And at that time in my professional life, I was an agency owner, and I had no thought about, doing a reset to my business model. I was going to have my agency, and I was going to create courses, and that was going to be all great, fine and dandy. And that didn't work out. I realized very quickly that doing this course creation, while it is possible to, have it as a side hustle, but I was glad that I started early. And, fast forward to May, I decided I want to do this full time, and I don't want to do the agency life and the one-to-one and the done for you services. I wanted to take this one-to-many and dedicate a full force into that. So then in July, I had no clients, but I had been working on my course, and I'm like, okay, like I'm here, like I have like 3 modules ready to go. But what I didn't realize is that it does take time to develop relationships, to create those free webinar type things, to create the relationships for possible joint ventures. You don't really start making money right away. And it's a process. It's definitely a process, and you kind of have to be patient and go with that practice and that process. And what tips and secrets can you give to give people kind of like the hope of like, okay, like how long does it take and what should I expect?
Yeah, it's great because I've run hundreds of people coming out of Launch Academy, so I've asked these questions a lot and found out where people get stuck and what my own views are around this. Well, first and foremost, and I know you'll resonate with this because you're almost like a great like case study right here as we're talking, right? Because you've just launched your course. Literally, you've almost done this not like years ago, but this year. So one of the most important things is to have a process or have a model, a launch model. You've got to have that. So just think about it. If you didn't know these pieces, you've learned them, you've figured them out. But if you don't have that, then you're literally wandering around in the desert and you don't know. So first is what I call having a launch model or a launch process. So that's what I teach. That's what I've learned. I've launched my own courses over the years. I've followed my own talk, and I've learned over the years how to create the structure so that you are saving time, that it doesn't take you as long and all that. And so one of the other tips is just to two things. And it's more like once you get into the commitment, one is just to commit to creating an online course. So if you want a quick tip, I see a lot of people that best and you just can't. The first is to say, look, I don't know it all. I'm going to be a student again. I'm going to get a process, a model that I can learn and then apply. And then I'm committed. I'm going to just do it. Even if it could take you as few as 3 months, 4 months, it could take you 6 months, 9 months, it could take you even a year. And it's the commitment that makes the difference. Because I see too many people that stay on the fence because they're simply afraid. They're in imposter syndrome, as you've said.
Yeah.
Most of them have this reaction, Lisa, is that as they think about a course, they're an attorney, they're an accountant, they're a massage therapist, they're a teacher of some content, they do shamanistic practices, they teach painting, spiritual painting, whatever. Is what I see so often is they simply say, I don't understand this whole realm and I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed, confused, and I don't even know where to start. I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
So the challenge with that is to simply first make the decision is I don't have to know any of that. I just need to make a commitment that I'm going to do it like you did, is I'm committing to, I really want to bring what I have here to teach more people and have a global audience. And then from there, and I can't impress it enough. It doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody else, but learn how to create and launch a course. So there's lots of people out there that teach this, and I'm one of them, and there's lots of others. If you don't do that, it will be pretty much it won't work because there's so many best practices. You all know this. How do you approach partners? What's the marketing I need to do? How do I craft the course in a way that it creates a compelling experience for people so they're raving fans to tell their students? All these things matter and they're not hard. You just need to know, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to structure it this way. Oh, okay, this is the messaging I need to do to write about my course. Oh, okay, I get the flow that Chris is teaching. So those are the things that are most important. I can't tell you beyond that. The tips are just staying committed, knowing that it's going to unfold. If it takes longer than you think, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself on it. You don't have to just slam it and bam it out there. So there is that kind of quality of it's a creative process, and be willing to kind of move around the creative process a little bit. And I have lots of people that come out of Launch Academy that take them 9 months to a year to launch their course. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's okay. It's totally fine. And some launch within 4 months, some launch 6 months, but a lot will put it, let themselves have space, like you starting in January and launching, basically 8 or 9 months later. That's great. That's because you're a busy professional too. You got.
And I actually attest to, it's kind of funny. So in January, when I started, doing the course outline, I did the whole course outline in January, and I'm like, okay, I'll have this whole thing published by the end of February. That was my deadline. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. And now we're in September. And then I finished modules 1 through 3 by June or maybe even May. And I said, okay, once I have no clients, July 1st, I'll be able to finish the rest of the modules by September 1st, no problem. So I just now finished module 4. So I've still 3 more to go, but I'm glad that I didn't rush it, because this last module that I did, I had so much fun with it. And I think if I would have rushed it, it probably would have been about the same content, but it wouldn't have been as creative, and it wouldn't have been as mindful. And I feel like every module that I do is getting better and better. And by not rushing it, it's really helps me, which I think is going to help, in the long run with the end result. And and the people that are experiencing it. So I
Yeah.
don't think you should rush through it. I do think a couple of things, like even though it has taken me a little bit longer, I have been consistent. So I do work on it every week. I think about it a lot. I have notes that I make notes in. So I think being committed, but also being consistent. If you let it go for 3 months, it's really hard to get back, kind of like writing a book. Like if you don't keep going, it's like that book that never gets done. And it's like the course that never gets completed, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. And you bring up a great thing about consistency and staying with it. The only thing that I would add, and this is why so many people coming into Launch Academy and out of Launch Academy are actually launching their courses, is a lot of people will get lost in, I don't know what to do next. So I don't know how to stay consistent. So what's cool about my approach is that you'll always know what you need to do next. And I encourage people, just like you're saying, is even if it's an hour a week, even if it's a couple hours, stay with it, but also follow the roadmap, follow the process. Oh, so you finished your course outline based on how I teach it. Now you really need to be looking at who's your avatar, that especially for audience, and how do you speak to them about your course. And so I think that's a mindset piece around consistency. Another mindset is about the creative process is nonlinear, Lisa. So it's nonlinear. Sometimes you can't just go boom, boom, boom. Sometimes you keep moving and you stop on something where you get stuck, let it be, keep moving, and then you come back to it. And then some insight happens in the shower or in the car.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I can do in that piece, or that's what I need to say for my course my course title, subtitle, and headline. I will also say what's really important as a tip for people to get, and you'll learn this on my webinar if you do show up for that, is that it's really key that who are you creating this course for is the number one question to ask yourself early on. First, it's your passion, it's your experience, it's your knowledge. But what I teach is that literally from that first thinking of, oh, I could put a course together, a 6-module or 7-module course, you almost want to be moving almost at the same time into exploring who your avatar is, who is your ideal student for your course. I use the word avatars to just say, it's like the word personas or other people, ideal customer in the marketing world. It's just a profile, an intimate profile of who is the person to have the best experience in your course. So what's really key, and I see this mistake all the time, Lisa, it's awful, is you don't write about how awesome your course is from you, the teacher. You should take this course because it's great and this great, and you'll do this and you'll learn this and this. You're always thinking about, how do I speak to that person, Susie or Betty or Sam or Jennifer, and I'm speaking directly to their their experience of what do they aspire to, what are the challenges or problems they're dealing with in their life, and what is the solution or the natural outcomes that they want from whatever you're teaching. That changes everything about how you talk about your course and how you promote it and market it. And that's the difference between 5 people signing up for your course or 100 people signing up for your course, because you've done the work of understanding who is really ideal for this experience that I'm creating and what makes them tick, not just who it is, but what really makes them tick. And that's not intuitive. It's not how most people, if they're doing it on their own, think about it. They think they know all about the content, so they write it from their perspective as a teacher. And that usually does not land well when you're going out to market it and talk about your course.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Questions on some secrets that maybe you'll share. So what are your thoughts about creating a free Facebook group to kind of build audience while you're creating your course, or just in general having a free group and then a private group for people that bought the course? Like I see people doing that in a lot of different ways, and it's a Facebook group is a lot of work.
Yeah. So I've seen people do that well. It's always a cart before the horse, or chicken and egg. Always that question, right, Lisa? Because the chicken are like, oh, maybe I should do my Facebook group first, then I'll have an audience and build that. The problem is you still have to find the people coming into, you still have to do marketing, keep content every day. So people that are doing that, it's a lot of work to maintain and grow that community. And in some ways more work than simply diligently creating your course and launching it. So here's a way to think about it is you could do that and start building that audience. You still have to create a product, Lisa, or else that's all just fun and talking and chatting. So the Facebook group is an opportunity for you then to offer something where they can go deeper outside of the Facebook group. So you're already coming back to creating the course anyway. My particular view on it always is create the program or the course first, always. Because you know this, and I want to say it so many times, I've heard this so many times, you echo this for me, is I can't do a course at all because I haven't built my Facebook, my Instagram. I haven't built that out. I haven't built my community. I don't have a following. And it's a trap where nobody will launch their course because they don't necessarily do that well and they get freaked out and they don't have a product right away anyway. They don't have a program. So my way of doing it, encouraging people, is create the product and the program. You will build your audience by launching your course in the way I teach it, through joint venture partnering, through marketing partnering. Super easy, no cost. Then you can go back and have much more clarity on how to create your Facebook group, right? And then that's your product, and your students that have come through will help you create that in a more efficient way. Some people do start with that. If they've had success, then very quickly their next step is to create a course anyway, if they're having success in their Facebook group. So I just think get it out of the way first, get the program that you want to offer, create it. And then there's all these marketing tools around that, like a Facebook group, partnering, Google search, SEO, all that stuff. So you can always build that later. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so one last question. Do you have any resources besides you that somebody should be looking at, or some favorite books or podcasts that you really love?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that people can go get my free ebook. It's chriskyle.com/ebook, no spaces. And that's the 5 things you need to know to create a successful online course. So that's a quick first place to start. I think just, you can go, people can actually go to, like the masterclass, that brand, masterclass.com. You can go to Udemy, start looking at courses, go and check out courses and free things. I think the best thing to do for people is not necessarily to read too much about it, but really see what's out there and explore yourself, what resonates, what doesn't, see what some of these pages are, like the actual course registration page, what lands for you and others. So kind of do your own little research, just even do online searches for your topic area. So I teach, it would be like creating online course or PR online courses, whatever you do, and then just start to see what people are doing out there. You'll actually learn more by what's out in the space than reading any specific book. I don't even know of a good book on course creation that's out there, like a thick book.
Yeah.
It's more people are actually teaching it as a process rather than spending too much time writing about it. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite course that is just like an example of like, this course just nailed it, the model, everything?
Yeah.
I can't think of it now. We can put a link in the show notes.
Maybe put in the link. I'm trying to think of, there's so many. Sorry, putting me on the spot. I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, no worries. We'll put, if you think of it, we'll put it in the show notes. But
great.
So if you liked what you've heard so far, you can join me on Wednesday at the webinar that we're going to be hosting, and you can find the link in the show notes, and we're going to be publishing it across social on the events. But Chris is going to be my guest, and we're going to be talking about the Launch Academy. And Chris, do you want to just kind of go through like the outline of what we're going to talk about, like what we're going to hit on?
Yeah, the webinar is going to be really great. I'm going to be teaching you what I call my 4 essential elements model. These 4 essential elements that you need to work on or be thinking about and leaning into to create your great course. So we're going to go over transformative content. How do you create great content for your course? We're going to go what I call enrolling messaging. That's creating really powerful messaging that's based on your avatar, not on you, to help fill up your course. And then the marketing tactics, we're going to go into very specific, what I consider is the number 1 marketing approach to helping you fill up your course and build your list, build your community and following. And then we're going to talk about technology a little bit too, because that is a big piece of it. And one of the big errors that people make is, if I just get the right tech platform, people will magically show up, Lisa. So I'll give you a bit of the myths on those, but we'll also talk about what's the technology out there that you'll need to launch a great course. So we'll go through all of that. I'm going to share some case studies. We're going to dig in, and so you can kind of see it in action. It'll be very interactive. I'll be asking some questions of the audience and all that as well.
Okay, great. Well, this has been a special edition episode of Social PR Secrets, the podcast, that we decided to do like a little pregame for our webinar. And I learned so much, Chris, and I can't wait to learn more on Wednesday, and we will see you there. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great being with you, Lisa. And we'll see you Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Social PR Secrets. If you like what you heard, check out the book on Amazon, or follow our blog at socialprsecrets.com. This episode was sponsored by The Buyer Group, a social PR agency striving to keep our balance in the digital world, practicing public relations, social media, and search marketing, while occasionally drinking a glass of wine or two for the best creativity and results. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a free chapter of Social PR Secrets, go to socialprsecrets.com/free.